Hi, my name is Jason Leadbitter. I'm Sector Sustainability Director for Hydropolymers, which we're a major producer of PVC. I've worked for which is a type of plastic. I've worked for the PVC industry for 20 odd years. I'm very proud of the industry on which I've worked, and it's a fascinating industry. Well, with regard to the issue of plastics finding its way into our shorelines, I must admit, even though I live pretty close to the sea, I really didn't appreciate the amount of plastics litter which is now finding its way on the beaches, and we have to really ask ourselves, where the hell does all this plastic material come from? And clearly it presents a real problem to the ecology and the wildlife. So from an environmental point of view, it's not great news to be proud of such an industry, and yet at the same time to be really shown that there's lots of waste ending up on beaches and our coastlines, etc. So we really need to think through things of how this material's ended up there, where it's come from, and I'm sure there's many questions that we need to ask within our industry to see what we can do about it. So the question would be, what can we do about it? How can we actually reduce this marine pollution from a plastics perspective? I think number one question is, we need to know what are the plastics on the beaches, what are the products and where have they come from, and that clearly could be done by some kind of collection scheme whereby bringing in scientists from the industry so that collectively we can bring and pool the knowledge together. Because clearly I would imagine there'd be some quick wins there that could be achieved. First and foremost, is this plastic actually being dumped at sea by some means, or in which case is there, I'm sure there'd be legislation that needs to be enforced there and acted upon. Other issues with regard to plastics is the different types of plastic, and also the fact that plastic itself is not biodegradable as such. That essentially means it doesn't really lend itself to breaking down and integrating back into nature. And many people actually think that's a bad thing, and of course from a pollution point of view in the environment, it actually is the fact that it still persists. But actually in many other applications, the very fact that plastics aren't biodegradable is a real strength. So in building products, for example, that means that the plastic is durable. Its persistence means it's going to last for a long time, and we can get real value out of the material. So it almost feels like a double-edged sword here. On the one hand, we're hit because plastics are not biodegrading on our beaches. On the other side, it's very much an asset from a sustainability point of view and playing to the material strengths. So first and foremost, we need some kind of survey as to what these plastics are and the type that we find. Secondly, we need to then identify, if we can, the source of where these products are coming from, and obviously see if we can minimise that in whatever way we can, either through legislation or whatever. I actually think that by looking at it in more detail, there'll be hopefully some quick wins which we could score on there. And also I think it needs to be a collective sort of audience in terms of bringing different disciplines together so we can get a much better understanding. Obviously bringing marine scientists, ecologists, as well as plastics experts, and that way we can probably make a lot more progress than just one part of society blaming another part of society, because probably the truth of the matter is society itself is to blame, and splitting that down, I think we could look towards a better future, which hopefully is not just protecting people going down to the beaches, but we have to think of the marine life itself and potentially all that plastics pollution within the sea itself, which is a much greater sink, if you like, for the product. In terms of making biodegradable plastics, which many people see as the route forward, we have to bear in mind that in its own right uses up a lot of energy to make biodegradable plastics, and also you have to have the right conditions for those plastics to biodegrade. So for some applications like packaging, there could well be some merit, but for other areas of packaging where packaging is used in durable products, the last thing we want is biodegradability. If we're going to make a water pipe to bring fresh water to our homes or to take water away, we actually need that product to be lasting for a long, long time, you know, tens of years, if not hundreds of years. And that's where persistency is a real benefit with regard to plastics, and really that's very much its strength. Regarding other aspects of waste, throwing waste into landfill sites such as plastics is not also a great idea because it's a huge wasted resource. Somehow we've got to look at society almost borrowing plastic as a kind of, when it's been used, especially if it's in a packaging area, can we somehow get that plastic back? Can we recover it? Can we actually gasify the plastic into new products and new applications? Because throwing it in a landfill site is almost burying it under the carpet, and it just becomes an absolute waste. So we need to look at mechanisms across society, and of course the plastics industry itself can't find the solutions. It's got to be a joint effort, and we've got to find ways of linking society together.